You look excellent. And
thanks.
I am dressed in the exact same clothes from when we were reviewing stuff yesterday. You're like, it's December 26th, Christmas sweater is gone and everything. Me, no, I'm still lounging around the house eating shit. I'm like,
No, it's okay.
I could keep my Christmas cat shirt back on.
I think until January 2nd, I think, is when you probably should stop wearing.
January 2nd is when I should change clothes.
No, not just like clothes. I mean, like wearing Christmassy things,
Yeah.
and after, like, because you do still binge eat on, like, New Year's.
Oh, we were last night. Full of
It was just a lot of snacking, too.
cheese, gummy bears, popcorn on my end, more cheese, and whatever it was we were having to eat. We ate so many things yesterday.
I had pineapple.
I completely. Well, there you go. Cancels out the Skittles. I completely forgot what we actually had for lunch yesterday. We were doing so much eating throughout the day. Pixar's Soul is great, by the way.
Yeah.
And I put up a poll over on our Twitter just right before we came on here, and I did the same thing with Wonder Woman 2, where I was like, what do you predict our grade is going to be for this? Wonder Woman, they pretty much got it right. Like 51% was like somewhere from B to C+. Most people are picking this just went up, but most people are picking pretty high on Soul, but there was like 8% that was like F.
What?
Like predicting.
Maybe they're just messing with
Predicting we'd give it an F.
us. Man, I hated this movie.
Man, oh yeah, totally, dude. Like,
Where does it
Pixar,
go?
what have you done? You might as well have just made my Brothers Crossing, both of which get an F. I like that. Well, first, like I said, this movie is absolutely fantastic, and we're reviewing it a day later, but we watched it right after Wonder Woman 1984, and it's like kind of the same thing when I review a movie that's fine and give it like an okay review, and then immediately watch something great, give that a great review, and it makes me be like, was I too lenient on the other movie?
I was thinking the same thing.
I like that, first of all, we also jumped the gun too in comparing Wonder Woman to an 80s body swap comedy. Like, I didn't know we'd watch a couple of things in a row that I could easily say that about. And when he dies at the beginning of this movie, this dude, that's not a spoiler. Like,
No, I meant like, you went for like Wonder Woman, and then you're like, and then he dies. I was like, wait, what?
in Wonder Woman. When Steve Trevor died at the end of Wonder Woman. No, when Jamie Foxx dies at the beginning of this film, it comes across like this man is honestly very lucky to have made it this far in life.
He has a lot of close calls, like, shortly before.
He has very much Mr. Magoo type styles in walking and dodging very dangerous things. Only this guy's excuse is he's on the phone, whereas Mr. Magoo can't see. So he's dodging bricks almost falling on him.
Getting almost hit by cars.
Traffic, a bus, and then falls in a sewer. I go, man, either the universe was trying to kill this man.
He wasn't meant for this world.
Yeah, he's kind of lucky to have made it to middle aged.
Well, I mean, maybe he was just excited and on the phone. Maybe he's not always like that.
No, that seems like he has at least done that a couple of times in the past. And he took one too many chances, eventually fell in a sewer. I mean, it does sort of have the vibe of something I'd see from the 80s, like the classic school spirit, which I haven't shown you yet. But
I'm good.
no, look, I've got it right here.
You planned this?
Oh yes, I
How
didn't.
so?
I just always have a copy of this movie in my pants.
How does it remind you of that?
Oh, you don't remember the scene from
I haven't
Soul where he's dead and sneaks into a woman's shower? It's practically the same. You see, in this one, Billy dies at the beginning of the movie. Because slightly different scenario than this. In this, he's making out with a girl and needs to leave to go get condoms, and is in such a rush he dies in a car accident. And so then his spirit comes back while his guardian angel is chasing him. I forget what needs to be done in order for him to come back to life because his body is just like in a coma or something in this, but his spirit can sometimes appear and sometimes not, based on doing this like curly Three Stooges thing with his head. I don't remember what he has to do to get back to life by the end, because it's been a while since I've seen it. I'm assuming it probably has something to do with him getting laid.
Okay.
It's a maybe not. There's a chance it might be it.
That doesn't seem like it's impossible for that kind of movie.
Billy is an angel. What he has in his mind, positively devilish. See, Soul is a bit different, because this was made in the time when, look, you become a spirit or drink some potion that will make you disappear. First things first, you're going to go in the girls' locker room. That was...
If you're a creep, yeah.
If you're a creep or,
maybe
20 years old in the mid-1980s, about the same thing.
This movie didn't remind me of that.
Well, because you haven't seen the classic School Spirit. If you did, you'd be like, oh, it's School Spirit for kids.
It reminded me more of Inside Out.
Yeah, if we want to get technical. Yeah, it's more like Inside Out or Coco than it is the 80s shenanigans movie School Spirit. But I don't have those on VHS to pull out of my pants.
Pull it out of your pants. Yeah, you don't have pockets, do you?
No, this was shoved right in there in like my... It was shoved right in there in the elastic in my... It sort of makes sense that you would hide School Spirit the same way you'd hide like your erection if you're wearing pants like this. Oh, I just gotta tuck it underneath the elastic. You get down there, School Spirit. So many people are gonna watch School Spirit now based on our positive review of Pixar's Soul. No, this. Yeah, it is certainly tonally more like something like Inside Out and Coco. It's one of the deeper Pixar movies.
Yeah, it's a very deep movie.
It's a very metaphysical film. It's honestly, it's kind of like it's
smart.
It's an all ages movie. You can watch it, enjoy it no matter how you are, and how deep it gets from the metaphysical angle to all this stuff about life and afterlife and before life.
Yeah.
It's really like if this movie had been made in the 70s, it'd be an X-rated Ralph Bakshi movie.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, I'll show you some of that later. I'll show you Fritz the Cat later on, along with the whatever VHSs we got swarming around the ground from those hilarious bits.
Yeah, the trailer for this movie really doesn't show like a lot of the movie.
There is a lot of this movie the trailer does not show you.
And that's why it's kind of hard to talk about it, because you don't want to ruin it. Because I like the like what happens once he dies, because that's kind of, they don't really show that much.
Oh, he dies before the opening credit kicks in.
No, I'm saying like they don't, in the trailer they don't show that much of what happens after he dies. Maybe like bits and pieces, but not a lot.
They show you when his soul is floating around in the afterlife, and some of the other ones he comes in contact with, a little bit of the plot. What they don't show you is how this whole movie's not there, and I thought it isn't in the afterlife and the before life and things like that. Mm-hmm. The great before, the great after, whatever they call it. That honestly made it cool, because it, as much as I was really enjoying this movie from beginning to end, yeah, when he's in the afterlife and he's partnered with that pre-soul named 22 who hasn't gone to Earth yet, I didn't know if it was going to follow that formula that about 90% of Pixar movies do.
Like they get lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
They get lost, or they have to travel somewhere, and it's usually two people who at first aren't getting along.
Yeah.
Or two characters at least. So when it was starting out in that angle, and even when they're in these like afterlife dunes where you see this pirate ship, I'm like, all right, I'm enjoying this, but it is, man, like, you don't get me wrong, Pixar, you are great at this formula. I've loved many movies where this formula is the same, so I was like, is it gonna be this again, really? No, it's not. Really quickly, it kind of drops that, and for a huge chunk of the rest of the movie...
Yeah, like, maybe, like, 65% of the movie, maybe.
It's back on Earth, and
well, I don't want to ruin like a lot because that's
no,
kind
I'm
of
not
what I
gonna say
liked about it.
exactly what happens. I'll just say that you're dealing with a couple of different stories here. You are dealing with his story, which is, whoa, maybe I haven't done quite enough with my life, or haven't enjoyed it to the extent that I necessarily thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the character of 22 who is so cynical that
like you can't feel or taste anything in heaven. So she kind of likes that feeling of not having to go through any sort of suffering or like, you know.
She's fine without going to Earth.
She doesn't want to feel, really. She's kind of scared of it. She's like, I don't want to go to Earth. Like
Earth looks like bullshit.
It looks scary. Like, and yeah, so.
I kind of get where she's coming from. Like,
I do too.
I know. I'm like, well, I get her, like, reasoning.
But there, as much as there is bad, there's still good of living. But yeah, so there's kind of that, and it kind of goes through her story too, and I don't want to say what happens or what she needs to do.
You get where both characters are coming from here, and just the animation in and of itself is
beautiful.
It's gorgeous and really unique, with a lot of these kind of 3D
abstract,
yet flat Picasso-looking afterlife characters.
Yeah, I really liked that. Like it's just like like a lot of lines. Like kind of like Picasso. I should probably have looked up.
Even our main the animation is so good on our main characters, our people on Earth, that they just seem like real people. I'm like, this is an animated movie, but down to how they're moving, how they're talking, their facial tics, their expressions.
When he's playing the piano, I guess I mean, I didn't know. I kind of figured they did this, but we were watching Double Toasted, and they said that, like, I had a feeling they probably did study the hand movements of actually playing the piano, because it does look really real.
Yeah.
Like, the notes he's playing, like, they don't look like, just some guy, like, doing that. But the hands look really realistic, and like just the lighting and all this stuff, like
the voice work.
Yeah,
the voice work. These really feel like real characters, as opposed to an actor showing up, and you kind of, no matter how good a character might be, you might just kind of see that actor there. Really, that's not really the case with this. It doesn't feel like I'm just watching Jamie Foxx do a voice. It really feels like it's this character. Same with Tina Fey.
Yeah, it didn't really sound like her. But I did know beforehand. I was like, I wonder who she plays.
Too. Yeah, I knew beforehand.
Yeah, so once I because I wanted to know what the actors were. I knew Jamie Foxx was. I was like, who's the other ones? And I saw Tina Fey as 22, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if I would have caught that right away.
I wouldn't have. If I didn't know beforehand, I don't know if either one of their voices I would have caught. I mean, they're that good at becoming these characters. Did you cry in this film?
I got emotional. At certain points. Towards the end, and
towards the end, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some other parts too. It's just it is an emotional film. I mean, it's Pixar.
But the good kind of emotional, because truth be told, I could say I got emotional about the Bobbleheads movie. But more specifically, wildly different kind of emotion, especially in Rob's case when he was watching it, none of that film.
I mean, emotional as in, you do feel like it hits that sad spot, like we were just kind of, oh, but it doesn't feel manipulative.
Pixar
really.
is good at that. Yeah. Pixar they know the kind of movie that they're making here. They know it's gonna be an emotional ride through humor and also sadness and sweetness. And they're, way more often than not, they're good at hitting all of those with a genuinely good story and a really good solid script.
They also cover depression, so I guess, and it's kind of creepy animation too with the depression.
Oh yeah.
What were they called?
It kind of looks like when you see an ad for antidepressants on TV, take this medicine or this slug monster will get you in your sleep. Oh God.
I guess I shouldn't go into too much of what it is, but it's just
go ahead.
It's just the the animation of like what depression would look like or feel like.
Yeah.
It's scary looking, kind of.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, but the way they cover it, I was like, this is a good way of looking at that.
There were little things. This is going to be a tangent, and I know this only makes sense to me, but I did really like, for personal reasons, that a lot of characters there in the afterlife were using names like
Jerry,
Gary, Terry, Jerry. I knew a guy. I used to work with a guy in radio who did that all the time and would call people that. He was a really good DJ. I hope he still is. Brian Figula was his name. I think his radio name was Fig. So if you're around wherever this guy might be DJing,
so you just didn't
that was
memorize
his
names?
No, he knew our names. He just always called everybody Gary. He's like, "Hey Gary," he'd be walking around going, "Sup Terry?" You're like, "Hey Jerry," and then one person's asked him one time. They go, "Why do you call everyone like Gary?" And he goes, "Well, that's because that's what everyone's name is. Here, watch this." And he leaned out of his office, "Hey, Gary!" And dude leans out of his office, "Yo!" The dude who leaned out of his office name was not Gary. It was Gibbs.
That would get really confusing.
No, it made sense to all of us. The only time when it would be confusing is if you needed to know someone's picture on the computer. You'd be like, "Who's this?" And he'd come in and go, "That's Gary!" And then leave.
Well, it's like, "Hey, Gary," and there's like 3 other people there. "Hey, Gary, do you mind doing this paperwork for me? Thanks." It's like, wait, which one is Gary this time?
So you just kind of know. It did help that there was nobody in the office actually named Gary,
That would
Terry,
suck.
or Jerry. So it wasn't like there was a real Gary who would suddenly feel like he's getting overloaded with work, but it turns out this was supposed to be split up between 10 people.
I'd also be on edge if all the time someone's calling, "Hey, Laura." Like,
No, we loved that guy. He was funny.
But if your name was Gary, I'd be like, okay.
Maybe it'd piss you off?
Yeah, because I'd be like on alert all the time.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's like, "Hey, Brad. Hey, Brad.
I hope he's still working. He was a top 40. He was the top 40 host there at our stations. But anyway, that kind of gave me a good memory. A little bit. I'm like, what a random thing for a movie to remind me of. His DJ Fig and his Gary, Terry, Jerry thing. I hope he still does that wherever he is in this world. What grade would you give this?
I'd give it an A+. Honestly.
You'd give it an A+?
Yeah.
I think you're the first person to give something an A+ on here. Although I gave Greenland an A-, and right before I gave it an A-, I accidentally said A+, because I was talking about, do I give this a B+ or an A-? All right, I'll bump it up to the A-, but I just accidentally conflated B+ and A- and said A+. Afterwards, I go like, yeah, so that's why I give it an A-, but I didn't notice till I was editing, and when we were shooting it, I was wondering why Jared seemed so shocked when I said the letter grade.
You should have just
left it at A+. I really dug the hell out of Greenland. I don't give it an A+, but I did really dig the hell out of it. I'll give it an A.
An A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily it's an A. It's, it doesn't feel like it, but we are at that time where to be doing the year's best and year's worst, I gotta look and see, man, if I have trouble in years before remembering what I saw throughout the year, this one I definitely do.
Oh, yeah.
So...
There's not that many kids movies that came out this year, I feel like.
Oh, there is. There's just a lot of really bad ones.
Yeah, this one will definitely be nominated, I think, but,
For Best Animated Movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Either that or Trolls 2.
Yeah, that probably will, too.
It's kind of like the Boss Baby of its year or something.
I didn't mind Boss Baby. I don't know if I would have given it an Academy Award nomination
I'm saying it's
for
like Slim Pickens this year. So.
That can happen, yeah. So, yeah, Troll 2... Oh, it'll make up for the original Troll 2 being passed over for several Oscar nominations. I'm sure this will make my year-end best list. It's a really emotional film in all the right ways. Like I said, it's funny. The animation is perfect in this. It's surreal. Yeah. It's weird. It's sad.
makes you think about your own life.
It makes you think. It does make me think about my own life. What would I do if I died in a car accident from driving out to get condoms?
Yeah, I was gonna say something that threw me off.
You had no idea where to go from that.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to watch School Spirit with me, honey?
I don't know.
You won't like it.
What I was gonna say is that this is like a movie for like any age too, so it's a good family film.
Yeah.
Like parents will like it, little kids just for the like.
Just for how colorful it
Yeah,
is, and the fun and some of the funny side characters in the movie. One of them in particular. That isn't in a lot of the trailers, but is a big part of this movie. So no, I highly recommend this. I don't know what's coming up to review. It's January, which usually means dumping. It's going to be January, which usually means dumping ground. So but this particular January, it could mean anything.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a lot of movies that are like, well, wait, I guess we'll just dump it now. But even though it had a lot of potential to make at least a good movie.
Yeah, maybe something will be popping up on streaming or something like that. So anyway, until then, follow us on Twitter at The Cinema Snob and subscribe to our channel today. Well, that was fun. I was like throwing random tangents on it. Take care.
Bye.